Hello and welcome to episode 261 of the Daily Sales Message Sales Podcast, where every single day I share sales tips and strategies, stories, techniques, all sorts of things from my vast experience of sales and selling, things that I talk to with my clients on a daily basis. If you're new around here, my name is James Newell and I teach people how to sell for a living. For me, it comes in two parts. You have to have a clear sales message, first of all. People have got to actually understand what you're trying to sell to them, funnily enough. And then secondly, you need selling confidence, the ability to be relaxed and comfortable and confident in a selling situation. In today's episode 261, we're talking about consequences. The consequences. And what I want you to do is think about your buyers and think about what are the consequences for them. And there's a couple in particular. The first one is if they don't buy. What happens if they don't buy from you? I would guess and this means obviously not buy from anywhere, not just you and go to a competitor. If they don't buy at all, what happens? Now I would guess things get worse, don't they? Things get worse. Things entropy over time. People say like entropy is nature's tax and all this kind of stuff. Things get worse over time. So how will things get worse for your buyer if they do not act? And can you paint that out to them in your messaging or when you talk to them? That's the first consequence, inaction. The second one is delay. So if they do it, but just not yet, what's the cost in the next 5 minutes, 3 days, 6 months, 10 years, or whatever that delay period is? That's the second one. So we've got inaction, we've got delay. We now have inferior alternative. So if they go to a cheaper alternative, and we've all done this, or we've bought something to save a little bit of money and it's broken and it's crap and we've had to replace it, which is why the phrase buy cheap, pay twice is an actual phrase. But what's the consequence of an inferior alternative? They're going to waste time, they're going to waste money, they might miss an opportunity, damage their reputation, all sorts of things can happen with the inferior alternative. And then the final one is DIY, do it yourself. What are the consequences of them choosing to do the thing themselves and solve it themselves? If I tried to fit a new toilet in my house today, I'm sure that would be a very good idea for me. So, and I already know that, but you would have to paint out to your potential buyer what are the consequences of them doing it themselves? What could potentially go wrong? Now, none of these things, DIY, inferior option, delay in inaction, none of these things are there to scare people with FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's not about pushing people around and manipulating them. It's just making them very clear on the decision they're making and the consequences that are happening. And then we ask them this question, are you okay with that? So if you do this, blah, blah, bad thing might happen. Are you okay with that? If you are, then great, go ahead and do it. But you might not be. I don't think I would be okay with that. So it's just about making sure we get that point across. All right, that's it for this episode of the Daily Sales Message. Tomorrow in episode 262, there's a particular thing we have to do to our price. Very, very particular thing we have to do to our price. And I recommend this to pretty much every single person that I talk to. We will cover that in tomorrow's episode. In the meantime, if you haven't already, please hop on over to LinkedIn and connect with me there. That's where I'm most active. You can shoot me a DM, say hello, tell me what you like about the Daily Sales Message, ask me about a particular topic or a question you'd like me to cover in a future episode. It's always really great to hear from listeners from literally around the world. It's just, when I look at the stats in Spotify for where this thing goes, it's impressive. And I'm really, really proud that I started it. I've been putting off the Daily Sales Message podcast for 4 years. I had the idea, did nothing for 4 years, and then I started it, and I'm glad I did. Right, getting all weepy now. Thanks for listening or watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. I'll catch you tomorrow for another interesting edition of the Daily Sales Message.